The mule. Bottom of the food chain. You're broke, desperate. Maybe you're a college student drowning in debt, or someone who just lost their job and can't make rent. Then someone approaches you, probably online, with what sounds like easy money. Hey, I need someone to receive some payments into their account and transfer them somewhere else. You keep 10%. Easy work. Sounds sketchy, right? It is. But when you're desperate, sketchy starts looking reasonable. So you say yes. You become a money mule. The absolute bottom rung of the money laundering ladder. You're disposable, replaceable, completely expendable. Here's how it works. Dirty money gets deposited into your account, sometimes from hacked accounts, stolen credit cards, or straight-up criminal proceeds. Your job is simple. Move it, transfer it to another account, usually overseas or to cryptocurrency. Then you take your cut, maybe a few $100, and think you just made the easiest money of your life. But here's the thing. You're the fall guy. When law enforcement starts investigating, whose name is on the accounts? Yours. Whose social security number? Yours. Whose face is on the bank security cameras? Also yours. The people running this operation are ghosts. You're the one left holding the bag. The penalties are real. Federal money laundering charges can get you up to 20 years in prison, and that's if you cooperate. If you don't, they'll throw the book at you. All for what? A couple $100? Your life is over. Your record is destroyed, and the people who recruited you have already moved on to the next desperate person. Most mules have no idea what they're involved in. They think they're helping someone transfer money for legitimate business reasons. They rationalize it. They tell themselves it's fine. But ignorance isn't a defense. When you're standing in front of a judge saying, "I didn't know," doesn't help much when the evidence shows millions of dollars moved through your account. The worst part, you don't even make good money. You're getting crumbs while taking on all the risk. The people above you are making thousands or millions, and you're getting $500 to ruin your life. It's the worst deal in criminal history, and yet people sign up for it every single day. The Smurf. Slightly smarter, still stupid. Smurfing is named after the little blue cartoon characters because, like Smurfs, you're small, there's a lot of you, and you're working together to accomplish something. In this case, that something is breaking up large amounts of cash into smaller deposits to avoid detection. Banks have to report any cash deposit over $10,000 to the feds. It's called a currency transaction report, and it triggers scrutiny. So instead of depositing $100,000 at once, you break it into smaller chunks. You deposit $8,000 here, $7,500 there, $9,000 somewhere else. Stay under the radar. Keep it moving. As a Smurf, you're literally walking into different banks on different days, making these small deposits. You might hit 5 banks in one day. You've got a backpack full of cash, and you're spreading it around like you're planting financial seeds. The problem? This is called structuring, and it's super illegal, like specific federal crime illegal. The banks are trained to look for this pattern. If you're making deposits that are suspiciously just under the reporting threshold, that's actually more suspicious than just depositing the full amount. You're getting paid per deposit, maybe $50 to $100 each time. So you do the math. If you're making 10 deposits a day, that's maybe $1,000. Sounds decent, until you realize you're committing multiple felonies for what amounts to minimum wage. And just like the mule, you're the one on camera. You're the one whose ID gets scanned. You're the face the FBI is looking at when they start connecting the dots. Smurfs usually work in teams. There's a coordinator who gives you the cash, tells you which banks to hit, and collects the deposit slips at the end of the day. You're part of a system, but you're still at the bottom. You're visible. You're vulnerable. And when the operation gets busted, you're one of the first to get arrested. The sentences for structuring can be up to 5 years per violation. And if you made 50 deposits, that's 50 violations. They probably won't charge you with all of them, but they could. That threat alone is usually enough to flip you into becoming an informant. Which means now you're not just a criminal, you're a snitch. Good luck with that. The shell company manager. Playing pretend CEO. Now we're getting into the more sophisticated stuff. Shell companies are businesses that exist on paper but don't actually do anything. They're registered, they've got articles of incorporation, maybe even a website, but there's no real business happening. They're just fronts for moving money. As the shell company manager, your job is to make it look legitimate. You sign documents, you open bank accounts in the company's name, you file the bare minimum paperwork to keep the business looking active. On paper, you're the CEO or president or whatever title sounds important. The beauty of shell companies is that they create layers. Money goes in as business revenue. It comes out as operating expenses or consulting fees. It all looks clean on paper. The shell company is the car wash in Breaking Bad. It's the strip club in The Sopranos. It's the oldest trick in the book, and it still works. But here's the catch. You're the registered agent. Your name is on the LLC documents. Your signature is on the bank accounts. If this thing goes south, you're legally responsible. And unlike the mule or the Smurf, you can't claim ignorance. You knew what you were doing. You were actively creating the infrastructure for money laundering. The money flowing through these shell companies can be enormous. Millions of dollars moving through what's supposedly a small consulting firm that has no employees, no office, and no actual clients. That's suspicious. That's really suspicious. And eventually, someone notices. You're probably getting paid a salary, maybe $5,000 to $10,000 a month to manage this fictional company. It's decent money, but it's nothing compared to what's flowing through the accounts. You're middle management in a criminal enterprise, which means you're important enough to get serious charges, but not important enough to have real power or protection. When the feds start investigating, they're going to freeze the accounts, seize the assets, and come after you personally. You'll lose everything, including your freedom. And the people who set up the shell company, they're insulated. They used you as a buffer between them and the crime. The casino host, chips and sins. Casinos are perfect for money laundering. You walk in with dirty cash, you buy chips, you gamble a little bit, then you cash out and get a nice clean check from the casino. Boom! Your drug money is now gambling winnings. Totally legitimate. As a casino host, you're the inside person who makes this happen smoothly. You're the one who greets the high rollers, gets them set up with chips, makes sure they're taken care of, but you're also the one who looks the other way when someone walks in with a suspicious amount of cash. Your job is to facilitate large transactions without asking too many questions. Someone hands you $50,000 in cash? Cool. You get them the chips, you comp them a room, maybe some drinks, make them feel like a VIP. They play a few hands of blackjack, lose a little, win a little, doesn't really matter. Then they cash out, and now their dirty money has a paper trail from a legitimate business. The casino is required to report certain transactions, but there's a lot of gray area, and if you're on the take, you can help people stay in that gray area. Maybe you process transactions in a way that keeps them under the reporting threshold. Maybe you forget to file certain paperwork. Maybe you help them structure their gambling to look more legitimate than it is. You're getting paid by the casino, but you're also getting paid under the table by the people you're helping. Tips, kickbacks, cash in an envelope. It adds up. You might be making an extra $5,000 a month on top of your regular salary, and all you have to do is be a little less diligent about your reporting requirements. But casinos are heavily regulated. The Gaming Commission, the IRS, the FBI, they're all watching. Casinos are a known money laundering method, which means they're under constant scrutiny. If you get caught facilitating this, you're not just losing your job, you're facing federal charges. The people you're helping don't care about you. They'll burn you the second it's convenient. And when you're sitting in an interrogation room trying to explain why you helped process $5 million in suspicious transactions, your "I was just doing my job" excuse isn't going to hold up. The real estate agent. McMansions and dirty money. Real estate is one of the best ways to launder large amounts of money. You buy property with cash, hold it for a while, then sell it. The profit looks like a legitimate capital gain. Clean money from a clean transaction. As a real estate agent in on the scheme, your job is to facilitate these deals quietly. You're finding properties that work for laundering, you're helping structure the purchases to avoid scrutiny, and you're making sure the transactions go through without raising red flags. Here's how it typically works. Someone comes to you with a lot of cash. They want to buy property, but they don't want to go through normal financing because that requires disclosing where the money came from. So you help them find sellers who will accept cash deals. You handle the paperwork to make it look legitimate, and you take your commission. Sometimes these properties get flipped immediately. Buy for $2 million, sell to a connected party for $3 million. The $1 million profit is now clean. Sometimes they hold the property for a few years, rent it out, create a history of legitimate income, then sell. Either way, the money is being washed through real estate. You're making bank on this. Real estate commissions on $1 million properties are huge. You could be making $50,000 to $100,000 per deal. And if you're facilitating multiple deals a year, you're looking at serious money. It's way more than you'd make from normal real estate transactions. But the feds are paying attention to all cash real estate deals, especially in high-value markets. They know it's a money laundering method. If you're consistently involved in these types of transactions, you're going to get noticed. And when they start investigating, your license is gone, your career is over, and you're looking at federal prison time. The people using you to launder money will disappear, the properties will get seized, and you'll be left explaining to a prosecutor why you facilitated dozens of suspicious all-cash deals without reporting them. The accountant, the numbers guy. If money laundering is an art, the accountant is the artist. You're the one who makes everything balance. You're the one who creates the financial statements that make dirty money look clean. You're the magician behind the curtain, and you're really good at what you do. Your job is to integrate the laundered money into legitimate business operations. You're cooking the books, but in a sophisticated way. You're inflating revenue, creating fake expenses, moving money between accounts in ways that create a clean paper trail. You understand GAAP, you understand tax law, and you understand how to exploit both. You might be working for a legitimate business that's got a side hustle in crime. You're the one who makes sure the $2 million in drug money that came in this month is recorded as consulting fees or foreign sales or whatever category makes sense. You're creating invoices for services that were never rendered, receipts for products that were never sold. This is sophisticated stuff. You're not just moving money, you're creating an entire financial narrative that can withstand scrutiny. At least you think it can. You've got spreadsheets, you've got documentation, you've got everything organized perfectly. It looks legitimate because you made it look legitimate. But here's the problem. Forensic accountants exist. The IRS has people whose entire job is to find people like you. And when they do their analysis, they're going to find the inconsistencies. They're going to notice that your client's business supposedly made $10 million in revenue, but only has 3 employees and no real overhead. They're going to see the patterns. You're probably making great money. 6 figures easily, maybe more depending on how much you're laundering. You're comfortable. You've convinced yourself that you're too smart to get caught, that your system is too clean, that you've covered all your bases. You haven't. Nobody ever has. And when they come for you, they're going to come hard. The charges for accountants involved in money laundering are severe because you're considered a professional who should have known better. You can't claim ignorance. You can't say you didn't understand what was happening. You're an accountant. This is literally your expertise. The lawyer. Legal but not legitimate. Lawyers have something beautiful for money laundering: attorney-client privilege. It's a shield that makes it very hard for law enforcement to investigate transactions. And some lawyers abuse the hell out of it. As a lawyer involved in money laundering, you're using your IOLTA account. That's the account lawyers use to hold client funds, to move money. You're setting up trusts, creating LLCs, structuring deals in ways that obscure the true ownership and source of funds. You're not technically doing anything illegal yourself. You're just helping your clients with legal structuring, except you know exactly what you're doing. Your client is a drug dealer or a corrupt businessman, and they're paying you huge retainers to create legal entities that help them hide money. You're drafting contracts for fake transactions. You're creating documentation for deals that never happened. You're filing paperwork that's technically accurate but completely misleading. The beauty of using a lawyer is that everything looks legitimate. When money moves through a law firm's trust account, it has an air of legitimacy. When legal entities are created with proper paperwork, they're harder to challenge. You're providing a veneer of legality to completely illegal activity. You're charging premium rates for this, legal fees of $50,000, $100,000, even more for complex structures. You're getting paid in cash sometimes, and you're depositing it as legal fees, which is technically true. You did provide legal services, even if those services were helping someone launder money. But attorney-client privilege isn't absolute. It doesn't protect you when you're actively participating in a crime. And when the feds build their case, they're going to pierce that privilege. They're going to show that you weren't just providing legal advice, you were a co-conspirator. When lawyers get caught in money laundering schemes, the fall is spectacular. You lose your license, your career, your reputation, everything. And because you're a lawyer, the judges aren't sympathetic. You're expected to uphold the law, not facilitate breaking it. Your sentence will reflect that. The cryptocurrency expert. The modern method. Crypto changed the game. It's fast, it's relatively anonymous, and it crosses borders instantly. As a crypto expert in a money laundering operation, you're the tech guy who makes dirty money disappear into the blockchain and reappear somewhere else, clean and untraceable. Or so you think. Your job is to convert cash or dirty bank transfers into cryptocurrency. Move it through multiple wallets and exchanges to obscure the trail, then convert it back to cash or legitimate investments. You're using mixers, tumblers, privacy coins like Monero, and decentralized exchanges that don't require KYC Know Your Customer verification. You might be running your own exchange, something small and unregistered, where people can buy crypto without going through proper channels. Or you're facilitating OTC, over-the-counter deals where large amounts of crypto change hands without going through public markets. The beauty of crypto is the complexity. Most law enforcement agencies don't fully understand it. The transactions are recorded on a public ledger, but they're pseudonymous. If you're good at what you do, you can create such a tangled web of transactions that tracing the money becomes nearly impossible. You're charging percentage fees on everything you move. If someone needs to launder $1 million, you might charge 5 to 10%. So you're making $50,000 to $100,000. And because crypto moves fast, you can process multiple transactions per week. You're making serious money. But here's the thing. Blockchain analysis has gotten really good. Companies like Chainalysis work with law enforcement to trace crypto transactions. Every transaction is permanently recorded. You might think you've obscured the trail, but someone with the right tools can untangle it. It just takes time, and crypto exchanges are cooperating with authorities more and more. That anonymous wallet you thought was safe, it touched a regulated exchange at some point, and that exchange has your information. That's all it takes. One point of contact with the regulated world, and your whole operation is exposed. When crypto money launderers get caught, the evidence is overwhelming. Every transaction you ever made is on the blockchain, forever, immutable. And prosecutors love blockchain evidence because it's clear, it's permanent, and it's undeniable. The trade-based laundering specialist, the import-export game. This is one of the most sophisticated forms of money laundering, and most people have never heard of it. Trade-based money laundering uses international trade transactions to move money across borders and disguise its origins. Here's how it works. You've got dirty money in one country, and you want to move it to another country, or integrate it into legitimate business. So you create fake trade transactions. You export goods that are overvalued, undervalued, or don't exist at all. The money moves as payment for these goods, but the goods themselves are either fictional or priced in ways that don't match their actual value. As the specialist running this operation, you're creating false invoices, fake shipping documents, customs declarations that are technically filed but completely fraudulent. You might ship a container of cheap electronics but declare them as high-value machinery. The price difference is your laundered money. Or you might not ship anything at all. You create fake trade documents showing that goods were shipped and received. Payment is made through legitimate banking channels, and the money is clean. The paper trail looks perfect because you've created every document to look legitimate. This requires expertise in international trade, customs regulations, shipping logistics, and financial systems. You're not some street-level criminal. You're sophisticated. You understand how global trade works, and you're exploiting the complexity of the system. You're getting paid extremely well for this. Trade-based money laundering typically handles huge volumes, millions or tens of millions of dollars per operation. Your cut might be 2 to 5%, which means you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars per transaction. The challenge for law enforcement is that international trade is incredibly complex, and there are millions of legitimate transactions happening every day. Finding the fraudulent ones requires cooperation between multiple countries, analysis of shipping records, customs data, financial transactions, and more. But when they do catch you, the charges are severe. You're not just facing money laundering charges, you're looking at fraud, customs violations, potentially even import and export violations if restricted goods were involved. The federal government does not mess around with international trade crimes. The banker, the inside man. Having someone inside a bank is the holy grail of money laundering. As a corrupt banker, you have access to systems and processes that can make dirty money look clean with just a few keystrokes. Your job is to help move large amounts of money through the banking system without triggering alerts. You're overriding suspicious activity reports. You're not filing required CTRs, currency transaction reports. You're turning off automated fraud detection systems. You're manually approving transactions that should be flagged. Banks have extensive anti-money laundering systems. They're required by law to monitor for suspicious activity and report it to FinCEN, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. But all those systems have human operators, and if one of those humans is corrupt, the whole system fails. You might be helping customers structure their deposits to avoid reporting thresholds. You might be creating accounts under false names, or for shell companies you know are fraudulent. You might be processing wire transfers to high-risk countries without proper documentation. The money you're making on this is insane. Corrupt bankers can charge huge fees for their services because they're providing something invaluable, access to the legitimate financial system. You might be getting $10,000 to $50,000 per transaction, and you're processing multiple transactions per month. But banks are audited. Regulators come in and review transactions. Internal compliance teams analyze patterns. And when they find that millions of dollars moved through suspicious accounts without proper reporting, they're going to start investigating. And when they investigate, all roads lead to you. The penalties for banks that fail to prevent money laundering are massive, hundreds of millions in fines. And when it comes out that an employee was actively facilitating it, that employee becomes the scapegoat. You're going to prison, and the bank is going to act shocked that you betrayed their trust. Banking regulators don't play games. You're in a position of trust, you had fiduciary duties, and you violated all of them. Your sentence will reflect that. The mastermind, the one who planned it all. At the top of the pyramid is the mastermind. The person who designed the whole operation, who recruited all the players, who manages the flow of money from start to finish. This might be a cartel leader, a corrupt business executive, a crime boss, whoever accumulated the dirty money in the first place and needs to clean it. As the mastermind, you're insulated. You don't touch the money directly. You don't sign documents. You don't show up on camera at banks. You've created layers and layers of separation between yourself and the actual crimes. All the people below you are buffers, and if they get caught, they can't definitively connect it back to you. You're managing the entire operation. You're deciding which methods to use, when to switch tactics, how to respond to law enforcement pressure. You're the strategist, and you're playing a long game. You understand that some operations will get busted, some people will get caught, but as long as you stay hidden, the machine keeps running. The money you're making is enormous. If you're laundering $100 million a year and losing 10% to fees and costs, you're still left with $90 million in clean money. That's your profit. That's what makes all the risk worth it. But here's the reality. Eventually they catch you. Maybe one of your subordinates flips and becomes an informant. Maybe law enforcement follows the money far enough up the chain. Maybe you get sloppy, just once, and that's all it takes. When masterminds go down, it's a massive operation. Federal raids, international cooperation, news helicopters. You're not just facing money laundering charges, you're facing RICO charges, conspiracy, probably charges related to whatever crime generated the money in the first place. You're looking at life in prison, and all that money you laundered, seized. All those assets you bought, seized. Your family's accounts, frozen, and probably seized. The government is going to take everything, and you're going to spend the rest of your life in a federal prison wondering if it was worth it. So there you have it. Every position in a money laundering operation, from the disposable mules at the bottom to the masterminds at the top. The thing they all have in common, they all eventually get caught. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but the numbers don't lie. Money laundering has an insanely high failure rate. Law enforcement is getting smarter, technology is getting better at tracking financial crimes, and international cooperation is improving. The days of easily washing dirty money are largely over. Everyone in these operations thinks they're the exception, that their system is too clever, that they'll be the ones who get away with it. They won't. The penalties are severe, the risks are enormous, and the payoff, while temporarily good, always ends the same way, with handcuffs and a prison sentence. So if you ever find yourself being offered a role in something that sounds like what I just described, just remember, it's not worth it. It never is. This video was purely educational. Understanding how these crimes work helps you avoid them, helps you recognize red flags, and helps you understand the news when you see major busts go down. Stay legal, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next one. Let me know in the comments if you want me to break down other aspects of financial crimes, and don't forget to like and subscribe.